Wait, what? Ah, they didn't. No, yes, they did. There's now item counters back on Smart Stacks. Awesome. Nice. How's it going, everyone? This is Javita. I apologize, it's been so long since my last video. I've actually been dealing with some computer hardware failure, and I'm actually recording on what apparently is Plan B, even though prior to this there was no Plan B. So anyway, enough of that. I usually like to do these release videos like pretty much the day of when they come out, but these last few patches have been quite impressive, at least in my opinion, that I felt it warranted a video after the fact. So let's get down to business. One of the major features they've added is the ability to have multiple characters as well as the ability to delete them. So by simply hitting escape, you can go down here to character select. And see, I'm on Javita right now. Here's a character I just created a moment ago. You can actually create a character from anywhere. If you're in the game world, it'll just go ahead and return you to the sanctum. However, to switch characters, you must be in the sanctum. So, as you can see, there's an option to delete the character right here. If you click on here, you actually have to exit the sanctum, but right here is now how you change your character model. So if you're wondering how to do that, you can do it from there. A special note on deleting characters, if I'm understanding this correctly, you can delete your character and all the stuff that's in the world that's at least beaconed by that character. It all will remain, however, naturally it won't be protected anymore. So if you delete a character, you need to make sure that you at least have all the stuff that you want to keep, otherwise it's either going to be claimed by other players or world regeneration. So I actually have not tried deleting a character, so okay, as you nice, you even have to spell out delete. I wonder if it's case sensitive. No, it's not case sensitive, but you still have to type it out, so it's actually quite nerve-wracking switching back to Javita, like, oh my god, the delete character button's just right there. But if you create a new character, go ahead and confirm, and it pops you right here. You can pick your server group. This won't limit you to any of these groups. I can start on US East and eventually travel to all these other ones, but you can choose your starting region. So, but anyway, now you can have more than one character, and particularly with the new progression system of having skills, you can now have alts that are dedicated to, say, you have like a builder and a crafter and a hunter and things like that. The next major thing in this update is now there's a greater variance between the different world types. If you're not aware of, there's the starting worlds. They're pretty peaceful, but they have limited resources and they have very low level creatures. The next level of difficulty would actually be the moons. So the moons are slightly harder than the starting worlds, and then the ring worlds are actually, at least currently, the hardest. And this is actually across pretty much everything. This includes mining as well as fighting creatures. Which brings me to the next point, is that the creatures have been quite overhauled. Now the creatures on the ring worlds, if you don't level up, say, your hit points before going to the ring worlds or even the moons, you could quite potentially be one-shot by the creatures. Their damage, armor, and even drops, all of it has been rebalanced and tweaked to kind of facilitate that. If you notice down at the bottom, let me pull up the mouse, down at the bottom there's actually, the health bars are now segmented, and this is kind of to note kind of how much health players and animals have. You should be able to see this on both players and animals from my understanding. When you start off as just level 1, you actually have just one segment, just a normal health bar, and as you get more HP, it starts to get divided up. So I'm not 100% sure how many each segment is actually worth. It might even vary, but I do have about 500 plus, or not 500, 5,000 plus HP. So yeah, just to give you kind of sort of an idea. The cool thing is that the drops across the board have kind of been reworked, and the attribute luck has also been kind of tweaked and reworked, and I don't know if it did anything prior to this, but at least now luck will affect both drops from mining and animals. So looks like each point does 11%. So if we go over to profile, core attributes, and drop rate modifier, so I have an extra 44% chance to get basically extra drops. My understanding is that the starting planets, if you go mining and you mine something like iron or coal or whatever, you're only going to get one thing for it. However, if you go to, say, the moons, you have a chance to get multiples, and you have an even higher chance to get multiples on, or maybe not a higher chance, but you can get more per block on the ring worlds, and this is now affected by luck. It's a very similar case with animals as well. Actually, the tier 5 cuddle trunks on the ring worlds have a chance to drop, or it's almost guaranteed, it seems like, to drop gems. So I did some kind of casual hunting for maybe an hour and got something like 30 plus gems just from that. Kind of what surprised me is that you actually get a random assortment of gems. I actually did all this hunting on Natural, which Natural's native gem is actually sapphire, and strangely enough I got more diamonds than any of the other gems. But the other really cool thing is that now moving an item does not take it off the action bar. And another cool thing is you can actually pull this off of here and move it in the inventory as well. Prior to this, everything down here was kind of almost like, you know, a paper mache, and if you tried to, you could move it on the action bar, but if you moved it anywhere else, nothing happened. The next cool thing, I don't know if you've noticed, is I have pretty much all the gem slingbows on the action bar here. However, they all point to this same stack, and that's because you can now pull out something out of a smart stack and have it as its own slot on an action bar, which is just amazing. Before, if you wanted all of these on your action bar, they all had to be their own stack. So pretty cool stuff. Another cool user interface feature is that you can go to skills and say item crafting. There's now descriptions of what these item crafting skills will actually give you. So right now, advanced engine recipes, it simply tells you engines will be part of a future update. So there's actually, at this time, no reason to take this skill. And so I actually have skill points tied up in this skill that are not doing anything for me. So if I have, yes. So I can unlearn that. So I just freed up some skill points. Awesome. But here, so common machine recipes, this gives me the compactor, the refinery machines, iron furnace, bark cores, so you now can easily tell what you're getting, which is awesome. Okay, another skill related change that's actually fairly significant. They've changed how mastery works. So if you're unfamiliar with mastery, you can right click on any tool or weapon and it will give you the difficulty rating. So this iron hammer has a difficulty of 20. That lets you know how much mastery you need in order for it to actually perform what it's doing here. So in order to get this hammer to do 700 damage, you need at least 20 mastery in hammer mastery. So if you're only going to use iron hammers, then you never need any more than the difficulty rating of the tool you are using. In addition to this, mastery also affects action speed where previously it did not. It sounds like this was maybe a bug and it was always intended to do this, but prior to this, mastery only affected damage. So if you don't have the mastery, swinging the higher level hammers can be quite painful, just because one, you're not doing hardly any damage, or at least as much as you should be doing, and you're doing it extremely slowly compared to what it should be. Okay, moving along, another user interface related thing they've changed is that now the debugging menu is no longer accessed via the period key. You can still hit period to turn the user interface on and off, but if you now want to use the debugging menu, it's accessed via F1. It's been completely redesigned. It's quite amazing. It's much more user friendly. While this part up at the top is active, you cannot move your character or do anything. However, you can hit F1 to close that part, and now you're free to move. Hit F1 again and it brings it back up. You can also click here, and down at the bottom there's close or something like that. My recording overlay is actually hiding almost all of these options, so it's a little bit hard to see, but there's just an insane wealth of information that is drastically easier to actually read, since you're not having to fight with UI elements and whatever you're looking at. Couple of things I'll point out here. If you're looking for information on what block you're actually looking at, that would be under selection, and as you can see right there, that's igneous rock that is refined. It's kind of a little bit strange to try to read it compared to what you see in your inventory, but you can generally get a pretty good idea of what you're looking at with this name right here. Okay, so if you have your controls back and you bring up your cursor using the tilde, you cannot close this. However, if you go ahead and bring up your inventory, you can now interact with the little X here and close out that window. So that's pretty cool. They've changed the behavior of animals. Basically, when you get close to something, it's pretty much guaranteed it's going to go into kind of a warning phase. See, it's kind of, he knows I'm here, but he's not just immediately attacking me. If I get too close to him, he'll probably go ahead and attack me. And with the exception of wild stock, they generally will leave you alone. However, if you kind of shoot in their general direction, they'll pretty much always attack you, from my understanding. So, oh, I had all those gem tools. So yeah, the hoppers are much more deadly. So that's whoa. Is he still alive? Can they explode more than once? I don't know. Let's go ahead and take him out. Anyway, moving along. They've kind of redone a lot of the slingbows. They've all been rebalanced, and this is actually quite crazy. Let's get this guy. Yeah, there's now essentially shotguns. So at least the diamonds and gold I know are cluster or shotgun type slingbows. They've all been they've all had their names kind of tweaked, so you can just kind of look at the names and get an idea. So you got Swift Repeater, Cluster Charger. They've also tweaked, I guess, the cooldown on slingbows, so now repeaters can actually repeat much faster or shoot faster, basically. Doesn't look like there's really anything to shoot, but yeah. So it's still not like fully automatic, but it's still pretty fast. It's much faster. Oh wow, that's the tier 5. So as you can see, that tier 5 it's taken a lot of hits to kill, has a lot of segments to its health bar. However, the wild stock don't have... Oh, they can actually drop fossils now. I forgot about that. As far as item drops for monsters, I've gotten fibrous leaves from low-level wild stock. The higher level wild stock obviously will drop fossils. Tier 4 cuddle trucks and up I've gotten gems off of, and the hoppers now will drop ore along with their normal drops. The spitters don't appear to have anything new. I still get mostly rough Oort stone, meat, bones, dark blood. Pretty much, as far as I can tell, they don't have anything new on their loot tables. I have killed 1 or 2 tier 5 spitters and just nothing impressive. Okay, we are back at my house on Solom. They have actually added beacon permissions. Sadly, I really can't show it to you. It would be here. Strangely enough, it's not under permissions. This option right here simply allows or disallows players from warping into your beacon. This is handy for if you want to, strictly private area, or if you're setting up roads in a town or something, you can have it to where people can actually warp straight into the town instead of being punted off to the side or underneath or whichever. However, if you can now go to the friends menu, except right now clicking on this in this current and the live version is pretty much a guaranteed crash, so you unfortunately can't actually see this stuff. I have seen this in another version of the game, and it's actually pretty cool. But basically you can go through, and for each of your friends you can give them certain permissions to your beacon. So you could have one friend be able to build in your beacon, another friend be able to use your crafting machines. I believe it's broken down. It's called Builder, Worker, and Engineer. And you can give as many or as little to each player as you want. But say you wanted somebody to be able to help build with you, but you didn't necessarily want them to have access to all of your stuff, you could use these permissions to accomplish this. This should make joint efforts with other players much more streamlined and safe. So, pretty cool feature. Another thing, they've kind of overhauled or tweaked the compass. You can now actually see portals on the compass, which is that purple icon up at the top. So that's my portal off in the distance. This makes finding other people's portals while you're exploring much easier. There's one over there, there's several over here. So it's pretty cool. Beacons now are kind of this muted gray color, and all the icons are kind of based off of the scale of them, based off of the distance. So as you get closer, they get bigger. As they're further away, they get smaller. And as you can see, players are now red. Not really sure where this guy is. He might be underneath the town, because yeah, I don't see him. Might have gone through the portal, I don't know. So, oh, there's a green one. Maybe that's a friend, quite possibly. See if I can hunt him down right quick. Oh, somebody. Oh, Supernova. So there you go. So players that are not already friended are red and your friends are green. Did a little bit of catching up with Supernova, but I think as far as the patch notes, I mean the patch notes are quite extensive. They did a ton of rebalancing, lots of little tweaks and fixes here and there, but anyway, I think that I'll wrap this episode up quite nicely. I think I covered all the highlights that I wanted to. Slight ulterior motive is I wanted a pretty simple video to do just to kind of get back in the swing of things and make sure I have my alternates set up right, so to speak, I guess. But anyway, this was Javita. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to like it. Subscribe if you want to see more like it. And if there's anything you didn't like, please let me know down in the comments. Until next time, peace.